Sometimes even the best intentions can take a nosedive straight into a pile of flaming. Case in point, when we shared a podcast segment with Doug Cocroft of Splitting Image Taxidermy, the comment sections lit up with gems just like this. The South African taxidermy industry and shipping are all built on kickbacks. Clients end up footing the bill. Splitting Image pays, I believe, 15%, and outfitters swear by them for that reason. Clients demand fairness and equity in your billing. And then, as if that wasn't enough, the same person followed up with this. Sean, please speak to the kickbacks from Splitting Image and how that affects client pricing. What in the actual fuck just happened? Our goal with that segment was simple: to show that South African taxidermy can stand toe-to-toe with the U.S. in quality and price, delivering incredible value. But instead of the, hey, thanks for the insight we got the old, here, hold this dumpster fire. Now, here's the kicker. Dylan Love from the PH Journal saw the same comments, but instead of diving headfirst into the social media chaos, he went straight to the source. Dylan sat down with Doug to get to the bottom of the so-called issue and dig into what's really going on. And here's a little reminder to everyone. Be careful who you trust on social media. Take everything with a grain of salt, because there's no shortage of bad information out there, and worse, incentivized opinions disguised as facts. It's a motherfucker. To separate truth from fiction is a sea of noise, hidden agendas, and half-truths. That's exactly why we're having this conversation today. Let's cut through the shit and get straight to the facts. So, in this episode, we're setting the record straight, cutting through the nonsense, and giving you the real story. To circle back around to something. I want to make sure we get to it. I know time is always limited, but it's important to me because when I make a relationship with somebody, I have a hard time staying quiet about a situation. So what I want to talk about is specifically Splitting Image Taxidermy and Doug. And so we released, and I think that's what originally sparked it. We released the first segment of our podcast with Doug, and then on the hunting group sites, like it just instantly, it was trash Doug about this, trash Doug about that, commissions, on and on and on. And unintentionally, we created a situation where, what did we do? We're just, expressing our, enjoyment with Splitting Image and highlighting a well-run business and a practice and a man that's super passionate about it. And it and took a left turn and went sideways, and people are texting me, "Do you see this comment? Do you see that comment?" And I mean, these nights lit up with comments, right? But then, so you did something. You got Doug and you sat down and you tackled it head on, right? You didn't pull any punches. You went straight to the point, and I've, like I said, I've listened to your podcast twice now because I wanted to make sure, and I wrote down a bunch of notes, but to me, what I got from that is Doug's transparency helped shed light on something that's very much a part of that business. Commissions are standard practice, but there's a deeper issue here. Some of the opinions you see online are influenced by these commissions. There are people out there motivated by the kickbacks that they get from referrals, and it can make it tough from a client's perspective to know who's truly being honest with them. So, Doug approached it. He hit it straight on. He didn't lie about it. It's part of his value chain. It's not only part of his value chain, but it's also part of almost every outfitter's value chain. And the bigger issue to me is that there are people that want to bash Doug, but that aren't honest with other people because they themselves are getting kickbacks from outfitters and taxidermists by sending people there. And I think that's, how do you justify, bashing somebody for paying commission when you're getting commission yourself? Is it just me, or does that sound?
Yeah. So, Sean, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat when it comes to a lot of these things that happen on these groups. So what it boils down to, and this is what I love about Doug is with his transparency, and is that it's pure business. It's just guys completely being jealous about business practices. And unfortunately, their only way out is to lambaste people or badmouth people on social media, whereas Doug is being completely 100% transparent with how things happen. Let's face facts. And if we get into my short period of being a freelance outfitter, I've had many experiences with how I can definitely see outfitters, agents, booking agents, taxidermy guys benefiting so much more than just the exchange of hands when the client comes over and pays his dollars. There's so much more to it. The taxidermy pays commission, and the outfitter pays commission to the booking agents and all that sort of stuff. But it's those business practices that don't determine too much about what goes on with the conservation side of things, but rather determines the outcome where the clients land up booking. And that's the sad reality, right? Is because if somebody's going to go and badmouth somebody's business practices online, I mean, it puts off a very negative opinion on that person. And I read some of the comments that were put on that group when it came to regards to Doug, and I felt like saying they couldn't be more inaccurate than what their perception was on Doug. And that's why I just said, you know what, screw let me just hear it straight from the horse's mouth. I mean, I've got nothing to hide. Doug's got nothing to hide. Let's just chat about it and really get a better understanding. I'm just proud of the guys that have stood for good conservation practices and good morals and values and ethics in the industry. I'm just proud of how they're coming out of this, because at the end of the day, the truth does come out and honesty does prevail. And, those guys that leave those negative comments and stuff, they look like absolute idiots at the end of the day. And that's why, I mean, social media, especially some of those groups that you're talking about, they cover up their tracks very, very well. They never apologize, and they never admit to wrongdoing. And it's a very interesting one. But that's, I mean, it's just part of the game. It really is, and you've got to tackle it when it comes up that way. And Doug's done a very good job at doing it.
At the end of the day, is it against the law? Right? Is it against the law? Is anybody breaking any laws? Right?
No.
By getting commission. Okay, then no. I mean, who cares, right? It's a business.
Hey, folks, let me cut in here for just a second. It's not just Doug or splitting image. This is how the South African hunting industry works. It's not shady. It's not illegal. It's just business as fucking usual. And let's be real. It's no different than how shit gets done here in the U.S. You either get it or you don't. Still don't believe me? Fine. Go back and watch the video we did with Tony Nebrine, the president of FASA. We talked about this same exact issue, and he laid it all out. Commissions are an industry norm and part of his value chain. There's no secrets. There's no bullshit. He was upfront about it.
So you'll like this one. We did a podcast with Doug Cocroft from Splitting Image Taxidermy.
It's a good guy.
And yeah, I love Doug. Thought it was great. We caught a lot of shit about it on those same kind of hunting groups. And what came up was people, the people that were really negative were negative because Doug pays commission to outfitters that bring him business. And so that blew up and turned out to be a big thing. And then fortunately, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, Dylan Love sat down and did a segment with Doug and put it back out and asked him specifically about it. And Doug did a great thing, and he explained why that process is in place. And I don't understand coming from a stateside perspective, because I pay commission for pretty much everything I do. If somebody brings me business, I will pay them a commission. And if my staff, if they're in, it's a business, so I get it. So I don't understand what the fucking heartache is over an outfitter paying somebody commission. And here's the thing, this is my perspective on it. So the premise of it was, and like I said, I'm pissing everybody off, so I'm probably getting kicked off all these fucking sites, but I don't care. So anyway, the premise was, if you're paying if the taxidermist is paying your outfitter 15%, then you're paying 15% more than you should. I will counter that to a lot of these same guys that are preaching about not paying commissions to taxidermy are booking agents themselves, and they get a commission for sending these fucking people over there. So you tell me what the difference is between the two.
So I tell you now, I have a saying, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. All right, that's number one. If it's too good to be true, it is definitely not true. So we have this discussion about commission every day of the year. So my business plan is dipping and packing. So I don't support any taxidermist in South Africa, except if the client gets here, he says, I've been here before. I only do business with Nathan Regal in Welkom, or I only do business with this guy Through Life or whatever. There's so many taxidermists. I can tell you, I would say 75% of all taxidermists in South Africa is legit. There are really unbelievable good taxidermists in South Africa. And I can spew this game back and forth. I can tell you an African guy knows African animals better, will do taxidermy better in Africa.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. All four of us here are on. We understand that.
So now
that's not the issue.
So now I'm giving you a next one. I hunted with a guy, and he was the president of Mackenzie Taxidermy. They built mannequins. They are in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, Mr. Tom. And Tom said to me, Tony, what are you going to do with your taxidermy? And I said, sir, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start my business this coming year. I'm going to go to America. And he said to me, if you do business with Americans, send your work back to America. Why? Because he's a taxidermy guy of America. He wants to stimulate the American market. So that's his spiel. So if you're an outfitter in South Africa and you ship your stuff to America, you have a good chance that you have a taxidermist in America you're supporting and he gives you commission. Does it make sense?
Sure.
So I can talk for myself. I dip and pack, but I do take commission on my dip and pack because it's part of my value chain. But when my stuff goes into America and where it goes to thereafter, I have recommendations where I think you have to send your stuff. But because he's a friend of mine, and he's really a friend of mine, he's like my brother, no commission, because we are friends. If we're in a business, we sign a contract, we're in a business arrangement, then he's not my friend anymore. So he's my friend, I don't take commission from him, he doesn't give me commission, we are friends. But if I have to do stuff in South Africa and I have a client that says to me, I want you to recommend a taxidermist in South Africa, please give me the best guy you think of, then I'm going to tell him I've got A, B, C, and D, and normally the guys I pick is most expensive in South Africa, and you have a waiting time for 18 to 24 months, and the reality is, even if I don't ask for it, I will get commission, because that is part of the system, how it works. It is what it is. But I can promise you one thing, that 15 or 10% commission you get for the outfitter gets for his taxidermy it's inside the price. It is not loaded on top of the price. You must compare apples with apples. You go and you start shopping around, and here's what I would do. If I was this American guy deciding to do taxidermy in South Africa, I will go onto my laptop and type in SATA, South African Taxidermy Association, and there's only 20 or 30 or 40 members, but there's 5,000 taxidermists in South Africa. It's the same with hunting. You want to book a hunt, and you walk there at the Dallas Safari Club, go to the FASA booth or the custodian booth and ask, is John Soap a member in good standing, yes or no? And you go, no, he's not. Then you automatically have to go, whoa, all right, so he's a South African, he's not hunting it, he's not in one of those organizations. What? And the reality is we don't have teeth, but we can regulate. We regulate our members. So at least you have something to go back.
And here's the kicker, folks.
You want to know how many comments I got about Tony talking about commissions? None. Zero. Fucking zilch. And you want to know why that is? Because the same people tearing into Doug respect Tony and his position in the industry. So what are we doing here? Let's just call it what it is. A fucking double standard. If you're going to throw stones, at least aim consistently. Now, back to the episode.
Mike, let me ask you something. With what you just said, how do we take care of people here in the U.S.? How do we pay our salespeople?
Well, commissions. I mean,
Commissions.
90% is commission based. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people out there that just work strictly off commission. That's it.
Whoa, pop the brakes. You got to walk that back for a second. 90% of jobs are not commission based. But you know what? A lot of them are. And that was the point. In the US, commissions are a standard business practice, whether it's real estate, car sales, or insurance. Americans are used to paying commissions. So why would it be any different in South Africa? Here's the reality. Around 10 to 15% of jobs in the US are commission-based, depending on the industry. It's not 90, but it's still significant. And it's how entire sectors operate. So while Mike may have overshot it just a bit, the message still stands. This is normal. It's how business is done, and there's absolutely nothing shady about it. Now, back to the episode.
So when Americans, when you see these people that are about, because their taxidermist pays somebody a commission or the outfitter pays somebody a commission,
Well, they're just fucking idiots.
Well, no, they know what's going on. They're just cheaters, and they think, oh, here's a way for me to get another 10 or 15% discount.
Well, they're trying to get rid of the middleman is what they're trying to do.
That's already... When you look at, and I use Splitting Image, for example, when you look at Doug's pricing, he's very transparent with it. You can go on the website, you can see it. That number's already baked in there. So it's not like once your trophies get there, he's not adding another 15% to it or 10% to it. That's already baked into his cost of doing business and promoting those outfitters and keeping that business coming through the door. And if you don't like his prices or his work, there's several other, taxidermy studios in South Africa that are good. And if it's just about price, go look at those other guys.
Or they can dip and pack, bring it home. Use your own guy here.
But if you're that cheap and you've done the math, you know that dip and pack ain't no cheaper by the time it's said and done. In fact, it's more. And that's the problem. So you've got Americans bitching about, it's like the tipping thing. Tipping is very much a part of an American no, I don't want to say social experience, but it's just what we do. We tip in the States.
We tip everything here.
Yeah. So when we come over there and I see people that don't want to tip or feel like they don't need to tip, I'm like, we go out to lunch and the tab's $10 and you leave a $5 bill on the table because the waitress worked off. For sake, if you can do it here, why do you think you should not be able to do it in another country? And I know that the tipping environment is not the same there. I don't even know how the tipping came up, but to me, it's just retarded. There's people here. We deal with commissions every single day. It's part of our society. It's part of how business works. And why would anybody think it works different over there? I mean, yeah, we're separated by the Atlantic Ocean, but for sake, we're the same century. I mean, these business practices have been around forever. It's not like it just started last week. For sake, grow up. That's just an excuse to push people away from one guy to the other. Yeah, but I don't get it. It pisses me off.
So my question to you, Mark and Sean, will be: is what attracted you to use Splitting Image?
Well, for me, and I know Mike's answer is going to be different. For me, it was a recommendation from Greg Harvey years and years and years ago. And Greg had a deal worked out with Doug where any of his clients got, a 10% discount or 15% discount or whatever that was. So it was an outfitter recommendation. I used him one time. And the work was fantastic. And those were in the early days before COVID. So, you were still getting things back, quickly. And I didn't have any issue with communication, and things have changed since, and it's gotten a lot better too. I was just really pleased with the whole process. And then I became kind of friends with Warwick too. And we continued to use him, and I brought more people over. And if there's ever a problem, I can just pick up the phone and call Doug or Warwick, and it's taken care of instantly, and that's what I like. The responsiveness to an issue is always taken care of. And if they f up, they'll eat it. Like Doug will be the first person to admit, hey, this is on me. I'll make it right. I'll take care of it.
You know, that's why. And I've never had the work's always been fantastic. You know, what I don't like about it is the shipping portion of it. And I feel like those shippers really can take advantage of you. But from a taxidermy and cost perspective associated with getting the animal to him, mounting the animal, get it crated up, I have no problem with Doug whatsoever. In fact, I think the work speaks for itself. I've visited him. I've seen it firsthand. I know the passion he has. I see the quality of work that comes out of there. And that's for me why I personally continue to use Doug to this day. So for me, that's what it's been. And yeah, I'm pretty passionate about it. But like I said, I've built relationships with these people, and I'm one of those guys that I'm severely loyal, right? If somebody takes care of me, I am going to take care of them in return and treat them with the same respect that they treat me. That's how it is for me. But Mike, what's your side of it?
Well, for me, I personally got to experience the facility, right? We walked it, we toured it, we sat down with Doug. He straightforward guy with no bullshit. That's my kind of guy. You know what I mean? You walk in that facility and it's like walking into a facility here in the States. You know, it's legit. And it's right. You know what I mean?
That's sorry, Sean. And I think that's the essence of what we're actually looking at is just honest business and honest. I hate, like I said, I just hate it when people don't look after one another. Because I mean, booking agents are going to ship you off to a taxidermy that they earning the biggest commission on, which is fair. It's fair, but they need to make sure that taxidermy is
they're
good
there
enough
for the dollar, right? They're there for the money.
100%, and there's a place in the industry for that. But in essence, they need to make sure they've got a responsibility to make sure that taxidermy is creditable and they're going to handle it. And it's like that with anything, you know, like the booking agents are only going to send you to the outfitters that give them the best possible commission, and all that sort of stuff, which is all part of the business. It's a part of this massive industry that brings more than I think it's close now to 700 million rand to the country, and we are very, very fortunate that it's worked out this way.
Well, and at the end of the day, also, you know, do your research. You know, don't if you're that worried about paying commission and you think you're getting, do your research. Don't do it. Go look somewhere else. There's like you said, a zillion places that you can go do something in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I received another comment on that same video, and it popped up. It was why did I, out of all the taxidermists in South Africa, why did I choose to sit down with Splitting Image? Well, there's an easy answer to that question: because I've got a relationship with a man in over a decade of experience with his work, and he invited us to come. Now, since then, we've got plans. We're sitting down with Clinton from Wild Clone Taxidermy. He's got a really unique kind of thing that he's put in place, and we're going to sit down and talk to him. I didn't do it to try to favor one taxidermist over another. I wanted to shed light on the taxidermy industry in general. And to me, what better person to showcase the quality of art that can come out of South Africa but Splitting Image and Doug Cocroft. I don't know anybody better. Right. So that's why we did what we did. And I think the backlash was unwarranted. It's unmitigated. And like I said, it goes back. It's sour grapes at this point in time. You know, people need to grow up. But once again, those are the same people that aren't getting a commission by sending people to Doug. Right. So so they're sending them to somebody else.
Well, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. Right. So that's fine. If, you know, opinions like everybody's got one. And if you don't like it, don't do it. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and say, here, you got to take it here.
Oh, I need to cut in here for just a second because the comment wasn't just about asking why I chose to feature Splitting Image. Here's the full comment, and I quote, "You made a YouTube video with only one taxidermist and one opinion. Everything in South Africa is run on commissions. I'm certain that Splitting Image made it worth your while too." Okay, well, let's break this down. First off, I'm choosing not to name names here. This isn't about calling people out individually. It's about addressing the misinformation and assumptions that can spread like wildfire on social media. That said, the original thread isn't exactly hard to find if you really want to go looking for it. Wink, wink. Now, what exactly are you certain of? Do you think Doug handed me a water ran and a Ziploc bag, slid me a trophy under the table,
maybe Venmo'd me with a note that said, "Thanks for the shout out, bro." No, that didn't happen. Nobody paid me shit. And with that cleared up, let's get back to the podcast.
Well, I mean, and again, people are going to watch this podcast and they're going to think that, we've got some sort of commission from Splitting Image Taxidermy, but it's not. It's
we
not.
absolutely didn't get anything from Doug, right?
Exactly. We just want to share good laughs,
Well, and that's Mike. That's not true. To be fully transparent, Doug does give my groups a discount.
I mean, I mean, he did say here's your whole trip of animals for free. Bring some more people.
Yeah, but I think he gave everybody a 10 or a 15% discount, and we had 3 different big groups last year, and I didn't ask for a break. Mike didn't ask for a break, but he didn't.
Yeah, we had 3 groups last year.
But here's the thing: he didn't give the discount to just Mike or I.
Right.
He spread it across every guest there. I mean, everybody was appreciative of it. Nobody expected it. Everybody was appreciative of it. I am certainly appreciative of it. So, it. But yeah, I don't know, and I get a little emotional about that.
Well, at the end of the day, it's just stupidity. I mean, to me, it's just, it's just people who just, I don't understand why people do that. No different than the greenies. I mean, it's no different than those people. They're all a bunch of idiots.
And like I said, a future episode, we're shooting with Wild Clone and we're talking to Clinton and we're going to get, his take on the industry and what he's doing that's a little unique. And he does have some kind of cool technology stuff that he uses. But that's part of us as Salt Lick, right? We're going to highlight different individuals and people within the industry. And you don't have to like who's on listen, if you don't like who's on my podcast, turn the channel. It's easy. Don't click the play button. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode, folks. Look, at Salt Lick Worldwide, we're going to keep doing what we do. Highlighted people, stories, and conversations that matter in the hunting industry. Whether you agree with them or not, that's the whole point. To spark discussion, challenge ideas, and dive into the realities of this world. What we will do is keep bringing you unfiltered content, straight talk, and the voices shaping the industry. If you're here for that, stick around. We've got a lot more to come. Thanks for watching. And remember, folks, live free, hunt hard, and keep chasing that adventure. Now, for those of you who made these comments, here's an open invitation. Come on the podcast. Let's have a real conversation and give our viewers the clarity they deserve. No agendas, no spin, just an honest discussion about the industry we all care about. The door's open, and the mic's all yours if you're willing to step up. Until then, we'll keep the conversation going.